Please proceed.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, good afternoon, and may it please the Court. My name is Gábor Bazsó, and it is an honor to appear before the International Court of Justice on behalf of the respondent, the Republic of Rakab. Alongside me is my co-agent, Zolta Buda, and Marcel Kancsik serves as bench counsel today. I will speak first for 21 minutes on Rakab's first and second submissions. My co-agent will speak for an additional 22 minutes on Rakab's third and fourth submissions, and we respectfully reserve 2 minutes for our third rebuttal. With your permission, I'm going to move on to our first submission, arguing that Rakab is not responsible for the alleged international wrongful acts addressed in the forthcoming submissions for two main reasons. Firstly, because Dorta's conduct is not attributable to Rakab under the law of state responsibility, and secondly, because Rakab fulfilled all its prevention obligations. Turning to attribution first, Your Excellencies, we do submit that states must be held responsible for international wrongful acts or omissions which are attributable to them. However, by invoking Article 5 of the Articles on State Responsibility, our well-learned colleague blurred the well-established line between the conduct of a state and the autonomous conduct of a private corporation. We do accept, Your Excellencies, that for attribution under Article 5, two conjunctive requirements must be fulfilled. Firstly, the entity must be empowered to exercise governmental authority.
Agent, you referred to the autonomous conduct of the corporation, but I noticed something quite peculiar in the compromis, which referred to the fact that when the Moroccan Minister of Intellectual Property wrote to his Rakabi counterpart didn't respond. Instead, the response came from Dorta. So, in light of that fact, are you able to sustain the position that Dorta is acting autonomously?
Indeed, Your Excellencies, and this is clear from paragraph 11 of the compromis, according to which Dorta's board of directors is completely autonomous, and because the decision-making body of the legal person is in fact autonomous, according to international law, that private and legal person cannot be under state's control. And under Article 5, Your Excellencies, this honorable court should examine the specific acts in question for which the applicant seeks attribution and whether those specific acts entailed any governmental authority.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellencies, and may it please the Court. My name is Zolta Buda, and as an agent for the respondent state, I will spend the following 22 minutes addressing the remaining two submissions concerning Rakab's human rights obligations and the alleged misappropriation of Moroccan traditional knowledge. Turning directly to the first of those issues, Your Excellencies, I will argue that Rakab did not violate the cultural and religious rights of the Moroccan people, and in support of this claim, 2 points will be formulated before this court. Firstly, we submit that Rakab's human rights obligations, including its obligations of prevention, do not apply in an extraterritorial manner. Secondly, and in any case, Your Excellencies, I am going to show this court that any limitations that might have been imposed upon the Moroccan people's human rights were permissible under international law. With respect to our first argument, Your Excellencies, we do not deny that under international human rights law, a state's responsibility might be engaged for actions that produce effects outside the state's territory. However, this happens only if the state in question exercises jurisdiction outside its own territory, as made clear by this court in paragraph 109 to 112 of its Wall Advisory Opinion and in paragraph 216 of its Armed Activities Decision. Your Excellencies, this requirement is clearly reflected in Article 2.1 of the ICCPR as well, which defines the covenant's application specifically on the basis of jurisdiction. Therefore, what we put forward here is that under both covenants, the essential question before this court should be whether the people of Iraq are subjected to Rakab's jurisdiction. And Your Excellencies,
if Rakab's military had set up a machine gun in Rakab territory pointed into Iraq and started shooting people in Iraq, under your view of jurisdiction, would Rakab not be responsible for human rights violations?
Your Excellency,
including particularly under Article 6?
Your Excellency, in that specific case and with respect to the right to life, we submit that Raqab could be held responsible, and in this respect we could refer this court to the European Court's judgment from 2009 in Andreu v. Turkey, when indeed a very similar case had occurred. And in that particular case, the European Court held that shooting from a close range across borders is such a direct and immediate impact and so overwhelming that it could render the individual victim of those human rights violations under the jurisdiction.
So are you suggesting that the territorial scope of obligations under the human rights treaties are dependent upon the specific substantive obligation?
Certainly not, Your Excellencies. However, what we submit is that only a direct and extremely immediate impact could be sufficient to establish jurisdiction under human rights law.
The winning team of the 2019 championship round of the Philip C. Jessup moot court competition is, or are, could be, no, definitely are, the agents for the respondent.